Whenever I come to this almost weekly protest outside the New York Times building, it really makes me feel fucking emotional. But I think especially today because they have a display of like dozens of children's shoes. And basically the point is the New York Times is a major player in the continuation and the justification and the whitewashing of the wholesale slaughter and genocide of the Palestinian people. And whenever I come here, I'm just reminded of all the work and all the time and energy and tears and effort and time and money that, you know, those of us who don't agree with what's happening have put into resisting this or making the powers that be know that we don't agree with this. And has anything materially changed? No, they've been able to convince the world that there's some sort of ceasefire going on, but they are still killing Palestinians. There has been a complete capture of the Palestinian movement, even in a place like New York City. And whether Zohran Mamdani is aware or not, he has been part of one of the most successful psychological operations there possibly has ever been. The complete capture of the movement and the ability to bring back the entire world into the hope of the democratic establishment, even in the face of everything that they've been doing, even in the failures of every single part of the democratic establishment for the past 2.5 years. He has been successful, not just in New York City, but all over the world in giving people the hope of the system again. And what has Zohran Mamdani done for the Palestinian people since he's been on the campaign trail, and especially since he has won the nomination? I don't think that he's mentioned the word Palestine once, and yet people still think that he's some sort of, I don't know, resistance figure. It's a complete joke. But I'm really happy to be here and see there are still plenty of New Yorkers who dedicate lots of time and energy and resources into reminding even establishments like the New York Times, but and all of the passerbys that this genocide is still happening and that they will never be able to normalize what is happening either.
700,000 dead. New York Times, our hands are raised. New York Times, our hands are raised. 700,000 dead. 700,000 dead. New York Times, our hands are raised.
We're here protesting the New York Times because for over 2 years they've been spreading misinformation and straight out lies about Palestine, and they're currently pretending that there's a ceasefire when in reality over 400 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 10th, the alleged ceasefire start. And just today, they burned people and they bombed a school. People are still dying every day in Gaza, and the New York Times is complicit.
Can you tell me what you have behind you here?
Here we have a memorial for the over 380,000 Palestinian children who have been killed in the past 2 years.
Didn't the New York Times just host like Ehud Barak and Barry Weiss and...
They did. They also hosted Netanyahu on video at their Deal Book Summit. Yeah, the New York Times hosted Ehud Barak, Netanyahu, Larry Fink, all of these war criminals who are complicit, more than complicit, in the genocide in Palestine. This is Cedra, who was killed on the Super Bowl. Her body was flung and she was found dangling from a wall. This is baby Rahav, who recently froze to death because Israel has a criminal blockade on Gaza and they are not allowing in sufficient aid, which the New York Times is not reporting. home was bombed while she was still in her mother's womb, and she died five days later.
What you're doing is unforgivable. What you're doing is unforgivable.
And we all know the story of Hind Rajab, who was shot 335 times while she was trying to evacuate with her family. This is baby Rian, who was the youngest victim of Israel's war on Iran. Baby Rian couldn't be saved because the mask was too big for his little face. We've been protesting the New York Times almost every week this year because they just won't stop their propaganda and manufacturing consent for genocide. And we think it's really important that the world knows the truth. So since the New York Times won't tell the truth, we will. And we come out and we share the truth every week.
Sometimes they even refuse to use the word children when talking about Palestinian children. And instead they refer to them as minors under the age of 18. Shame!
I'm here today because the New York Times is one of the biggest players in this genocide in terms of its coverage, its manufacture of consent, its outright lies. We're here every week to do this and to damage the brand of the New York Times, which is a despicable brand. So-called journalism, essentially Israeli propaganda, imperial propaganda. We want people to see what they're really made of.
Blood flow like a river and did nothing. Will it act now as we drown in water and mud? Or has the suffering of Palestinians ceased to warrant even a glance of pity? We live in a time when the value of Palestinian life has fallen from the scales of international justice. And the news of a child's martyrdom has become commonplace. Reported in news bulletins like the weather.
I'm like, that's a little weird for elected officials to be attending all male events anyways, right?
Yeah, like you just
Like even if we didn't know anything about the fucking